You stop saying I can't and start saying I won't or I will, because a can't is often a lie. It's a won't hiding behind fear. And fear is not the problem. The problem is how you respond to fear. Most people freeze, avoid, or rationalize, but successful people face it. They feel it and move anyway. They don't deny difficulty, they dominate it by refusing to run from it. When something doesn't go your way, the question isn't who's to blame. The real question is, what can I do about it? That's the mindset of winners. They don't dwell. They don't sulk. They analyze, adapt, and take action. They understand that life isn't fair, and they don't need it to be. They'll find a way with or without support. And if they fall, they get up. If they fail, they learn. If they lose, they rebuild. Because success isn't about having a perfect record. It's about having an unshakable mindset. Excuses come easy. They sound smart. They feel safe. But they keep you small. They keep you bitter. And over time, they kill your confidence. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall that stands between you and your potential. Tear it down. Own your role in every result, whether good or bad. If you succeed, own it. If you mess up, own it. That's how growth happens. You cannot evolve while blaming. You cannot rise while complaining. Responsibility is heavy, but it's also the only weight worth carrying. Taking responsibility doesn't mean life will be smooth. It just means you'll be ready for the rough parts. You'll stop wasting time on distractions and start investing in solutions. You'll stop waiting for things to happen and start making things happen. You'll stop hoping for a better future and start creating one. That's the real path to success. Not waiting, not wishing, not whining, but working, owning, leading. Sometimes people confuse responsibility with pressure. But pressure is a privilege. If you feel it, it means you're playing a meaningful game. It means you're not hiding in the stands. You're on the field. You've accepted the cost that comes with greatness. Most avoid that cost. They want results without risk, growth without pain, rewards without sacrifice. But real success doesn't work that way. You pay up front with your energy, your focus, your consistency, your humility, and you keep paying every single day. That's why it's rare. That's why it's valuable. When you stop making excuses, you see your real options. You stop being blinded by victimhood and start being guided by purpose. Even when circumstances are hard, you ask, oh, what's in my control? And focus there. That's how momentum builds. Small wins add up. Self-trust grows. And with that, success becomes inevitable. Not because the world changes, but because you change. You can always tell who takes responsibility by how they speak. They say things like, I'll figure it out, or I need to improve here, or this was on me. And you can tell who avoids responsibility. They deflect, complain, or disappear when things go wrong. One of those mentalities leads to power. The other leads to regret. Responsibility isn't glamorous. It doesn't always feel good, but it builds character. It builds habits. It builds resilience, belongs. And those things are the real foundations of success. Not just talent, not just connections, but the inner strength to show up day after day with no excuses, the fire to do the work, no matter the weather, the mood, or the crowd. That's where real transformation begins. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, where responsibility is faced head on and excuses are left behind. That pain is a powerful teacher. Most people run from it, numb it, deny it, or complain about it. But those who understand growth know that pain is not the enemy. It's signal. It's the breaking point that leads to a breakthrough. Every struggle, setback, heartbreak, failure, rejection, or hardship holds within it a lesson that comfort could never teach. The very things that hurt the most are often the exact moments that shape who you become. You can't grow without discomfort. You can't rise without resistance. The gym of life doesn't build strength through ease. It builds strength through tension. Every time you face pain in your life, you've had a choice. Stay stuck or rise up. And in those moments, your future self is born. Pain has a way of exposing what's real. It shows you your values, your limits, your fears, and your strength. When everything is going well, it's easy to talk about mindset, discipline, and ambition. But when the storm hits, when you're down, tired, hurt, and doubting, that's when the truth shows up. And the truth is this: pain isn't a punishment, it's a path. If you look closely, some of the strongest people you'll ever meet didn't get there through luck or ease. They got there because they went through fire and chose not to burn. They chose to forge. Pain can break you. Yes, but it can also build you into something stronger than you ever imagined. It all depends on how you respond. Will you use pain as a reason to quit or as a reason to fight harder? Will you let it defeat you or define you? The world doesn't reward those who avoid pain. It rewards those who face it, learn from it, and grow through it. Look at any great story of success, and you'll find a chapter filled with pain. You'll find rejection letters, closed doors, bankruptcies, betrayals, sleepless nights, self doubt, and failure after failure. But in those moments, something greater was being built. Not just results, resilience. Not just outcomes, but identity. That's what pain does when you allow it to teach you. You'll never find deep purpose or strength in a life of only comfort. If everything is easy, then nothing is meaningful. True fulfillment comes from overcoming, from pushing through when you could have given up, from standing tall after life tried to knock you down. That's where confidence is born, not from applause, but from persistence, from proving to yourself again and again that you are stronger than the pain. Pain creates perspective. It forces you to stop and reflect. It reveals what matters. It strips away distractions and ego and shows you what's truly inside. And sometimes pain is life's way of redirecting you. A closed door might feel cruel, but it might be saving you from a path not meant for you. That breakup, that job loss, that failure, it might be clearing the space for something better, but you won't see it if you're focused only on the sting. You have to step back and ask, what is this pain trying to teach me? The people who grow the most are the ones who lean into that question. They don't waste pain, they use it. They don't let it harden them, they let it shape them. Pain is part of the process. The strongest minds, the most grounded hearts, the sharpest visions, they're all forged in the furnace of challenge. You'll never meet a champion who didn't suffer. You'll never meet a real leader who didn't bleed. Greatness demands sacrifice, and sacrifice means giving up comfort now for strength later. There's a hidden power in pain. It builds a foundation of internal strength that no one can take from you. You stop needing approval. You stop fearing difficulty because you know what you've been through. You know what you're made of. And that creates unshakable belief. That's why some of the most peaceful people have gone through the most chaos. They learn not just to survive the storm, but to walk through it with power. Avoiding pain never works. It catches up to you. Suppressed pain turns into bitterness. Ignored pain turns into patterns. Denied pain becomes weakness, but faced pain, processed pain, becomes wisdom. And wisdom gives you direction. It helps you make better choices. It helps you lead others. It helps you become a version of yourself that isn't fragile, reactive, or shallow. It turns you into someone who's been tested and proven. There's a reason athletes push their limits in training. There's a reason warriors endure brutal discipline. There's a reason entrepreneurs go through failure after failure, because the pain now prepares them for the prize later. The pain isn't pleasant, but it has purpose. And once you understand that, your relationship with struggle changes. You stop fearing pain and start respecting it. Pain also creates compassion. When you've suffered, you understand others who suffer. You gain empathy. You listen deeper. You connect more honestly. Pain humbles you. It teaches you that no one is invincible and that everyone is fighting battles you can't see. That awareness makes you not just stronger, but wiser, kinder, and more real. And that's part of success, too. Not just reaching the top, but becoming someone worth following when you get there. You have to choose your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of sacrifice or the pain of staying stuck. The pain of facing your fears or the pain of running from them your whole life. Every path has pain, but not every path leads to growth. If you're going to suffer anyway, why not suffer in the pursuit of becoming better? Some people see pain as a wall. Others see it as a door. That's the difference in mindset. One person stops, the other steps forward. Pain is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a new one, if you choose to walk through it. The ones who rise don't avoid pain, they master it. They understand that inside every hardship is a gift, a message, a lesson that will make them better if they're willing to learn. So when pain shows up, don't panic. Don't shut down. Get curious. What is it pointing to? What is it pointing to? What is it revealing? What part of you is ready to grow? Discipline is the hidden force behind every dream that's ever come true. It's not loud or flashy. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't beg for applause. Discipline works in the dark when no one's watching. It shows up when motivation fades. It stays when excitement disappears. It becomes the backbone of greatness, the structure that holds everything together when life gets chaotic. Most people want results, but few want the routine. They want the prize, but not the process. But discipline is the bridge between what you want and what you become. And it's easy to be motivated when things are going well. It's easy to post goals, make plans, talk big. But discipline asks, can you show up anyway? Can you do the work when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when no one's clapping for you? That's the real test. That's where champions are made, not on the stage, but in the silence of daily effort. You don't build a legacy through bursts of action. You build it through consistent, focused, disciplined choices over time. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It creates freedom. Freedom. The freedom to be who you said you would be. The freedom to look in the mirror and respect the person looking back. When you're disciplined, you don't live at the mercy of your mood. You live at the mercy of your mission. You train yourself to rise above feelings and live by values. And when that becomes your standard, you become unstoppable. People often confuse discipline with deprivation, but it's not about saying no to life. It's about saying yes to something greater. You say no to distraction so you can say yes to focus. You say no to laziness so you can say yes to growth. You say no to shortcuts so you can say yes to mastery. It's a trade-off, and the disciplined person understands that. They see the long game. They know today's sacrifice creates tomorrow's strength. There will be days when it's hard, days when quitting feels easier, days when your mind tries to negotiate with you. Skip today, just this once. That's when discipline becomes your anchor. You don't argue with yourself. You've already decided who you are. You've already made the commitment. Discipline silences the excuses because it's not about feelings, it's about follow through. It's the voice that says, I made a promise to myself and I'm keeping it. Discipline isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's brushing your teeth every day. It's showing up to the gym even when it rains. It's writing one more page, making one more call, studying one more hour. It's doing the small things right so the big things don't fall apart. That's the secret. Greatness lives in the ordinary. And discipline makes the ordinary extraordinary, extraordinary. Every expert was once a beginner who chose discipline over distraction. Every master was once a student who kept showing up when it was boring, when it was hard, when it wasn't fun. That's what separates the average from the elite. Not talent, not luck, just relentless, consistent, disciplined effort over time. It's not sexy, but it works, and the results speak for themselves. The disciplined person doesn't rely on external validation. They don't wait for someone to remind them. They don't need motivation every morning. They are driven by something deeper, a sense of purpose, a vision for their life, a standard they refuse to lower. That's why they rise early. That's why they train when others rest. That's why they say no to what's easy and yes to what's right, because they know who they are. So they know what they're building. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen that trust. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, and that self-trust becomes confidence. You don't need to fake it. You don't need to impress anyone. You just know, I do the work. I keep my word. I'm becoming who I'm meant to be. That's a powerful place to live from. That's what makes you dangerous. In the best way, discipline is also contagious. When people see your consistency, your focus, your work ethic, it inspires them. It raises the standard. It reminds them what's possible. You don't even have to speak. Your actions do the talking. Your habits speak louder than any motivational quote. That's real leadership, not telling others what to do, but showing them what's possible through how you live. In a world of shortcuts, discipline is rare. In a culture obsessed with hacks and overnight success, discipline is the long road few are willing to walk. But those who do, they don't just win. They last. They endure when others fade because they've built a foundation that can't be shaken. They didn't rise by accident. They rose by design. And that design was built on discipline. There will always be temptations, always be distractions, always be moments where quitting seems more attractive than continuing. That's why discipline is non-negotiable. It's your shield against the noise. It keeps you locked in on your goals when everything around you tries to pull you away. It's the internal compass that keeps you aligned with your values even when the world tries to confuse you. Discipline doesn't mean you never fall. It means you get back up every time you do. It means you don't let one bad day turn into a bad week. You recalibrate, you recommit, you remember why you started, and you keep going. Because that's what disciplined people do. They don't wait for the perfect mood change doesn't come when you want it. It comes when you decide you're done living the same story. It begins in the moment you say, enough. That moment is powerful because it marks the shift from dreaming to doing, from complaining to creating, existing to evolving. Most people wait for a sign, a perfect day, a perfect plan, but real change begins when you stop waiting and start acting. It doesn't need fireworks or applause. It just needs a choice, a moment of clarity where you finally realize you can't keep living in the cycle that's been holding you back. Every transformation starts with that decision. Not the kind you announce once, but the kind you make over and over again. Especially when it's hard, change is not a straight road. It's filled with setbacks, doubt, resistance from others, and your own fear. But when your decision is firm, when your resolve is unshakable, you push through. You stop being a prisoner of your past and start being the architect of your future. You begin to shape your habits, shift your thinking, and walk in a direction most won't even dare. Most people don't change because they're afraid to lose comfort. But what they don't realize is that comfort is often the cage. It keeps you warm but small, safe but stuck, familiar but unfulfilled. The real growth lives outside of that, and it takes courage to leave it. Courage to face discomfort, uncertainty, and pain. That's the price of becoming more. That's the cost of rising beyond average. And once you've tasted progress, you realize that no amount of comfort is worth the regret of staying the same. Change starts with the internal war, the battle with the old voice in your head telling you you can't, that you failed too much, that it's too late, that you're not good enough. But here's the truth. Those voices are echoes of the old you. They only live if you listen. The moment you start speaking louder with action, those voices begin to fade. You don't need to silence them with words. You silence them with consistency, with proof, with momentum. And over time, they get quieter and quieter until they no longer control you. It's not about making huge leaps all the time. It's about small, powerful steps made daily. That's where real change hides, in the ordinary moments. Waking up earlier, saying no to temptations, saying yes to the hard choice, reading instead of scrolling, working out instead of sleeping in, speaking life instead of complaining. These decisions don't seem like much in the moment, but they are laying bricks for a life most people only dream of. You don't need to announce your change. Let your results introduce you. Change is uncomfortable because it demands that you become someone new. It forces you to confront who you've been and what you've tolerated. It requires shedding old habits, toxic relationships, limiting beliefs. It's like peeling layers of yourself until only the truth remains. That truth is powerful, but it can also be painful. And many people run from that pain. They choose distraction over healing, denial over accountability, excuses over action. But the ones who face it head on, they become unstoppable. Oh. Every time you act in alignment with the person you want to become, you're rewiring your identity. You're no longer reacting to life. You're creating it. You become intentional. You realize you are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not the version of yourself that made those choices. You are the one who decided to rise, the one who refused to settle, the one who knew deep down there was more. That belief, even if it's just a spark at first, is the beginning of everything. The people around you might not understand your change. They might question it, doubt it, even mock it. Because your growth makes them uncomfortable. It reflects back to them the parts of themselves they've ignored. But that's not your responsibility. You weren't born to stay small so others feel big. You weren't given a vision just to keep it locked away. Your path is yours. And the more you grow, the more you'll attract people who speak your language, who challenge you, support you, walk with you. But first, you have to walk alone. The hardest part of change isn't starting. It's staying consistent when the results are slow, when it feels like nothing's working, when your progress isn't visible yet. That's the valley. That's the phase most people quit. But if you hold the line, if you keep showing up, the shift starts to happen, slowly. Then all at once, your mind sharpens, your habits solidify, your confidence grows, and eventually the outside begins to reflect the inner work you've been doing all along. Change doesn't come from hoping. It comes from building, brick by brick, day by day. You're not always going to feel inspired. That's not what change needs. Change, well, what